Will be staring into each other's eyes today at Lambeau Field. After a week off, the Packers begin a quest to defend their Super Bowl title. Three-time MVP Brett Favre looks to steer the high-powered offense and continue their home winning streak, while their improved defense gets better with the return of Gilbert Brown. But Green Bay will be tested by the best young backfield in the NFL. The Bucs celebrated their return to the playoffs with a victory over Detroit, and these young upstarts are playing with the poise of postseason veterans. After shutting down the legs of one MVP, this band of Pirates head north and must now stop the arm of another. There is bedlam at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The temperature you just heard, 29 degrees. That's balmy for this time of year, as the Packers get ready to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Packers have just been introduced and are in the process of being introduced to this crowd, the sellout crowd, obviously, right now. The finality of it all. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. And John, the 49ers beat Minnesota yesterday. The championship game will be in San Francisco next week. The 49ers await the winner of this one. One of these teams will not make it, and one of them will make the trip to the West Coast.
And that's why we talk about the intensity is always up for these games, because you know the finality of it. The team that loses is out. The team that wins here today gets to go and play the 49ers for the championship. And I'll tell you, when you have a crowd like this, if you can't get into this is what you play for, this is what you coach for, this is what you wait for from the minute you go to training camp.
It is some scene indeed. This is the third meeting between these two teams. That's been said many times. Let's talk about Tampa Bay first. They've lost twice to the Packers. How do they approach this game?
Well, as we're talking about in the pregame, they have to play Buccaneer football, and Tony Dungy says that's a complete 60 minutes, and Buccaneer football means Warwick Dunn running the ball, Mike Allstott running the ball. Now, once they can establish these two guys as runners, then they can fake to them and they can get some play passes, because as Tony Dungy said yesterday, we need about 6 big plays in the passing game. And of course, on defense, they have to deal with Brett Favre, the best player in the National Football League.
And the Packers come in here on a roll. They're playing very well. How do they approach this game?
Well, this crowd is really helping. I mean, this has to get you excited. And on defense, they're getting Gilbert Brown back. Gilbert Brown has been out for a month, but he's their run stopper. And, you know, we talk about Tampa Bay being a running team. Gilbert Brown is a run stopper, so that's going to help their defense. I talked to Reggie White the other day, and he said that he feels the best right now that he's felt all year. So the defense has to do a job to get the ball back for the Packers, get it back to Brett Favre, and then let him be the difference.
And Brett Favre can indeed be the difference, and we'll watch him all day long. Ron Pitts is again with us this week, and we'll get a report from Ron down on the side of the field when we come back.
And now, the Erickson Countdown continues.
All right, welcome back to Lambeau Field. I'm Ron Pitts, standing on the sideline here in Green Bay. You know, a lot of teams, when they get into the playoffs, they look for that edge, and they find that edge a lot of times in special teams. But I look at the Green Bay Packers, that's where I think they've lost their edge in the special team department, because they've lost one particular guy, and that's Desmond Howard. Take a look at this stat. With Desmond Howard last year, the average starting field position was huge. This year, not quite the same. They've used 7 different guys trying to find that same effect. And most importantly, look at the touchdowns. With Desmond Howard last year, 6 special teams touchdowns. He had 5. This year, the Green Bay Packers have no touchdowns on special teams. So what Mike Holmgren said, he said, okay, all right, I'm going to get going now. We're going to put the best guy on the field. Antonio Freeman, he's going to return the kickoffs. Robert Brooks is going to return the punts. The same thing on the other side of the ball. Tony Dungy said he's toying with putting Warwick Dunn in place of Carl Williams back on the punt return. No matter how you look at it, both coaches, like Pat and John have talked about, know the finality of this game. They want to have the best players in the best spot to make the big plays. Pat, let's go back up to you for the kickoff.
All right, Ron, thank you very much. We'll be hearing from Ron Pitts as the day passes by. Mike Holmgren, who has done such an excellent job with the Green Bay Packers. against Tony Dungy, who has done an equally outstanding job with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay playing against the odds this year because Green Bay has never lost a home playoff game. They are 11-0. They have won 26 straight here at Lambeau Field, including the playoffs. So this crowd, as John Madden said, a big factor on their behalf. And Tampa Bay is 0-16 in games played beneath the temperature of 40 degrees. And today, it's already been announced it's 29 right now.
And you know something, right now, none of that means anything because they have to go out and play for 60 minutes.
Anthony is back deep for Longwell's kickoff. And we're underway at Lambeau. The Battle of the Bays, the third time this year. Reverse. Maybe couldn't get around the corner. Good job of coverage, a flag on the play. Good job of coverage by Green Bay's special teams. That was Eric Rest, who was chased out of bounds. The Tampa Bay quarterback is, of course, Trent Dilfer, selected to his first Pro Bowl this year. The offensive line, Gruber, Diaz, Mayberry, Middleton, and Jason Odom. Those who will handle the ball, Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott, Rydell Anthony, Horace Copeland, and David Moore starts at tight end. There's a flag on that kick return.
Right, it was a face mask penalty, Pat, against the Green Bay Packers. It was a 5-yard type.
That means it was unintentional. So the Buccaneers start from their own 25. We can check the Packer defense in a moment. Warwick Dunn hit behind the line of scrimmage. Fumble! Dunn lost it. The Buccaneers got it back. Here is the Packer defense. In front, Wilkins, Gilbert Brown is back. Santana, Dotson, and Reggie White feeling good. Brian Williams, Bernardo Harris, and Seth Joyner, the linebackers. Doug Evans and Tyrone Williams, the cornerbacks, and Robinson and Butler, the safety. 2nd and 8.
It's interesting here, Pat. The Packers have gone to a 3-man line on 2nd down.
Already. Dilfer back to throw. The blitz comes. Dilfer gets rid of it and just throws it away.
And you see what they did? They went to the 3-man line. That's Fritz Sherman wanting to give Trent Dilfer a lot of different looks. But he went to the 3-man line to blitz. You see, here's 1 lineman, 2 linemen, 3 linemen. Now they're going to get a blitz in this area. So they can blitz more guys, more different guys from the 3-man line than they can from their set 4-man line.
And you saw the safety, number 36, Leroy Butler, also involved in the blitz. It'll 3rd and 8 now with Dilfer and the Buccaneers operating.
Leroy Butler plays a lot of linebacker position as he is right there now.
Here he comes again. Dilfer throws. Pass knocked away at the last minute, intended for Rob Thomas. Defense by Darren Sharper. And a good play by Sharper, and Tampa Bay will have to punt.
Well, we know we talk about Leroy Butler. You see him up there, number 36. He's coming from the outside. We know what defensive coordinator Fritz Sherman, the Green Bay Packers, wants to do. He wants to put a rush right off the bat on Trent Dilfer, not let him get set, not let him get settled, or not let him get confidence.
Pressure defense by the Packers. And the Bucs punt. Sean Landetta is back. Robert Brooks is deep for Green Bay, and a flag on the play.
The whistle blew before the ball was snapped.
Ball start prior to the snap. 52 offense.
Johnny Greer is the referee. Not a very good start for Tampa Bay.
Tony Dungy has his son James right there behind him. James holding the cord. His record is 3-0. Tony says he's not superstitious, but a lot of people around him are.
Wonder what his record is below 32 degrees.
James is 3-0 in any kind of record, but James hasn't been in any weather below 32 degrees.
So, well, maybe in Minnesota. When Dungy was the defensive coordinator there, Brooks signals fair catch and makes it. And the Packers will take over at about the 41-yard line, their own 41. Their first possession, and they'll be led by 3 three-time MVP Brett Favre. An offensive line playing better. Verba, Taylor, Winters, Timmerman, and Dotson. Dorsey, Levens, and William Henderson, the two backs. Freeman and Brooks, the wide receivers, and Mark Shimura, the tight end. And Brett Favre leads the Packer offensive unit. The incomparable Brett Favre. Verba jump.
That's a rookie in a big game.
First and 15, that'll make it.
Ross Verba, though, has really helped this team. I think if there's anything that has solidified this Green Bay Packer offensive line, it's been the rookie left tackle, number 78, Ross Verba.
You know, you don't say that very often when a rookie solidifies an offensive line, but he has.
Not only solidified, but he brought some toughness to it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, Ross Verba is a tough guy. He plays offensive tackle like a defensive player.
Toughness, aggressiveness, meanness even. That is 11. Hit down by Mincy, and let's look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense. Upshaw, Sapp, Culpepper, and Ahanatu. Undersized but quick. And the same is true of the linebackers, Brooks, Nickerson, and Rufus Porter. The secondary, Parker and Abraham. The cornerbacks, Mincy, and the hard-hitting John Lynch, the two safeties. Second and 11. Far to throw it. Incomplete. His intended target was Shimura, who fell down.
Yeah, and it's lucky that he overthrew that or threw that away, because as he was looking at Shimura all the way, and Shimura fell down, and he just threw it right at that area anyway. You're going to see Shimura is right here, and he's going to come. Now, Brett Favre, you can see him. He's watching him all the way. Shimura right there. He goes down. Brett Favre still throws it. A lot of times, those are intercepted balls.
4 wide receivers this time. Favre with time. Comes out of the pocket. Brooks. Incomplete. He just dropped it. Favre throws it very hard.
Yeah, he throws it very hard, but we talk about the intensity level going up in playoffs and the excitement and the crowd and all that, and the players have that too, and sometimes you can get a little too intense and then you become tense, and that's the way this game is starting here. I mean, I think Brett Favre put a little too much on that, and Robert Brooks just wasn't ready to catch it.
Craig Hendrick back to punt for Green Bay, and deep for the Buccaneers, Rydell Anthony standing back at about the 13-yard line. He'll have a chance. Signals fair catch. Comes up. Anthony at about the 24, and the Bucs will take over from there.
This Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By American Express, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. And by the ISIS cellular phone from Philips Consumer Communications.
It might look a little colder than it is. It's 29 degrees, or was. It's supposed to get colder as the afternoon progresses. Gilbert Brown, you can see his breath.
I think Tampa Bay is going to give him a little dose right now of Mike Allstott running.
Allstott is the deep back.
They have 2 tight ends in there with him. Patrick Hape blocks a lot.
And Hape leads Allstott, who nudged it for a yard and a half, maybe. Bernardo Harris was the first Packer there.
Yeah, you could see that one coming. You know, sometimes they put in Warwick Dunn and Allstott at the same time. But when they just have Allstott in here with Hape, that means that Allstott is going to get the ball. And of course, Allstott is going to be running inside. He says you have to take that inside hole and press it. Now, what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to do is locate Gilbert Brown. See, he's right here, and run away from him. That audible. So they would want to run to their right now.
He should be easy to locate. Allstott. Nothing there.
I think
he spun around and got maybe a yard.
Tony Dungy was saying that one thing, they didn't want to run right at Gilbert Brown because they wanted to get away from him. Plus, if he were going to make a tackle, they'd like him to have to run to make the tackle, but they didn't do it that time. Watch big Gilbert Brown here, one of the best run players in football. You just don't get any movement on him. Then if you don't get any movement at the point of attack, then your ball carrier has to bounce out, and then that's when the pursuit gets him.
And he's occupying two people. So you got one less blocker for the rest of them.
Gilbert usually occupies wherever or whatever he's on or in.
He gets the rest right now. Dilfer is going to throw a jump ball downfield, and it's incomplete. A flag on the play, and this might be offensive interference.
Yeah, because as you said, that was a jump ball. Doug Evans was the corner, number 33, going down there. In fact, it looks like their reaction, or Doug Evans' reaction, that they're calling it against him.
Copeland was the receiver. Horace Copeland.
Pass interference. 33.
Whoa.
Defense. First down.
Let's take a close look at this one.
Well, you see him right here. Copeland pushes there, and then after he pushes, Evans grabs his jersey. So there was really, it's the old fight thing. It's the second guy in there because Copeland pushed him first, and then Evans grabbed him, and the official saw the grab.
So it's first down, Tampa Bay at the Green Bay 37. Copeland was the man in motion. Dilfer fakes, has some time this time, and throws over everybody's head, which might have been a wise place to throw it because Green Bay had everybody covered.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to talk to Mike Shula yesterday, the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think this is one of the things that they want to do. There's Mike Shula right here. Not only do they want to pass the ball, but they want to take some shots, throw some deep passes, kind of loosen this defense up so that they don't have Leroy Butler playing up there as an eighth man like a linebacker all day.
They took a shot that time. Just nobody near.
And they took a shot that got him pass interference.
Dunn. Warwick Dunn was going to have a Buccaneer first down at about the 26-yard line of Green Bay. Eugene Robinson took him out of bounds.
You know, right there is what I love about Warwick Dunn. I mean, he has that sparkle in his eye. He has that bounce, but he doesn't go out of bounds. Now, you think, here's a guy 175 pounds, and he's going to get anytime he gets in the sideline, he'll just jump out of bounds, not take that hit, or deliver that last blow. Watch Warwick Dunn. Watch him right here. He could step out of bounds. He turns in, and whap, he finishes off his run.
And
that is something.
Oh, so quick. First and 10, Tampa Bay at the Green Bay 26. Dunn again. Warwick Dunn is knocked backwards, and he's not going to get out of that one. Gilbert Brown. Santana Dotson.
I don't think you can run at Gilbert Brown. Watch him here. We'll see. Here's where he is. Here's Santana Dotson. Now let's take a closer look at Gilbert Brown right here and see what he does. And see how he raises havoc. See, now one guy can't block him, and there's no way. So then he just plays, and they're trying to run right at him. He just plays right down the line. He waits, and Santana Dotson comes from the outside and gets him too.
Mayberry had to snap the ball and then try to cut off Gilbert Brown, and you just can't do that, as you said.
You aren't going to do that. That's not a possible block.
Done again.
Then they tried to run at Gilbert Brown again, but this time they double him, and that doesn't work either. I'd go back to their other plan of running away from him. We talk about run stoppers, and people say he's too big, he's too fat, and all that, but I'll tell you, he is the best run stopper in football. He takes on a double team, he holds the hole, you get no movement. Where are you going to go? You better get around him or away from him, because I'll guarantee you one thing, when he's fresh like now in the first quarter, you're not going to run at or over him.
And that weight of 345 might be a little conservative.
I think last week, Pat, it went up to like 358. Actually, he was 8 pounds overweight.
The over back to throw. The blitz is coming. He gets rid of it. Incomplete. Doug Evans on the blitz off the corner. And they're coming with all kinds of blitzes and all kinds of defensive changes.
This is the thing that Fritz Shurmur does, and you're going to see up here, you're going to see the blitz coming from the outside. You're going to see it coming from the middle. As you said, Pat, they're just coming from everywhere. The one that they don't block is number 33, Evans, coming off that slot.
Husted will try a 42-yard field goal. 43 make it. Steve Walsh, the backup quarterback, is the holder. High snap. Going to roll dead at about the half-yard line. Blocked, I believe, by Kaburski. They're going to bring it back to where it was kicked from. Once it passes the line of scrimmage, they treat it just like a punt. Watch Kaburski.
Yeah, he's right here. He's going to run over Dave Moore, the snapper, and get the block. Watch him. He just cans Dave Moore, runs right over him, gets his hand up. That kick was a little low. Since it was blocked, now it's brought back to the original point where the ball was kicked from, and that's where Green Bay will start.
And that's one of the things that Tony Dungy said. Our kickers have to get used to kicking this ball, which is going to be harder. And here's Favre. Kimura, midfield.
Yep. Brett Favre came back to that one. Remember the last time he threw the same pattern, Kimura fell down. Watch him. He's going to come right here, and you're just going to see him come right into the screen. He's going to hook right here in the middle. See him hook, and the minute that he hooks against the zone, Tampa Bay is primarily a zone team, so you try and find holes in the zone and sit down there, and then the quarterback hits you in that hole.
1st and 10, right at the 50. Favre to Levin. Around the corner is Dorsey Levin. And out of bounds after 6. And right now, for a look at playoff history, let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat and John, as you recall, last year in New Orleans, Reggie White in his 12th season, eyeing his first Super Bowl championship. Brett obliged, throwing 2 touchdown tosses. That one to Antonio Freeman as the Packers capture their first championship in 29 years. Mike Holmgren, the victor. Back to Pat and John.
Oh, I remember that moment in New Orleans. 2nd and 4. To his left, now he's going to run it. Lets it go, pass complete. Antonio Freeman, he scrambles to his right, and that's when he scares Tampa Bay.
You know, he was trying to throw a pass to his left to Derek Mays. He's trying to throw out here to Mays. And watch what happens. You see him, he brings the ball back. Now, here's what you can't account for. He's going to throw to the left. Instead of throwing to the left, he runs to the right and throws to the right. Now, watch Mays. Here's Mays over here. This is what he's looking at. See, 1, 2, 3. He's looking at that. Mays gets bumped and falls down or gets knocked down right there.
Yep. And
then Favre goes the other way and completes the pass. That is Brett Favre.
Nobody can match that. That's Levin. Maybe got a yard.
You know, one thing this Tampa Bay defense has really done well against Dorsey Levens. This year in the 2 games that they've played, he's only averaged like 2.8 yards per carry. And so the Tampa Bay defense doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns, and they're really tough to run on, but they have to get, situations where you can pass, then go after the passer. And I don't know that that's such a big deal when you play in the Green Bay Packers and Brett Favre.
Favre can do so many things. Incomplete. At the goal line for Antonio Freeman. No flags, no penalties.
Yeah, now there's a guy who has really turned into a complete football player, Antonio Freeman. You just watch him in the last few years, and now he's a complete receiver. I mean, he can run the short patterns, the deep patterns, the inside stuff, the outside stuff, and he's holding on to the ball more, although that one, he got his hands too close to his body. Then when you get your hands too close to your body, when the ball goes in there, it can go off your shoulder pad.
It seems insignificant, but there was a great pickup on that play by the center, Frank Winters, who came out. Warren Sapp had broken loose. He came out for help. And it's caught by Mays. Juggled, but caught by Mays at about the 2.
Again, that's Brett Favre, because he had someone hanging on him, and he wasn't able to step into that ball. Here's Derek Mays. He's up here on top. He's playing as a third wide receiver. He's just going to run it in right there. And the minute that he breaks, Brett Favre hits him with that ball.
That ball was on the way before he ever made the break.
It had to be on the way. Watch Derek Mays. He has great hands. In fact, Derek Mays could have the best hands on this Green Bay Packer team.
First and goal at the 3. 3 tight ends set up now. Favre. Touchdown. Kimura. If you live in Tampa, he's not fun to watch, Favre. But if you live anywhere else, you have to enjoy watching him play.
He's one of those guys that he's worth the price of admission. And this was a Brett Favre drive all the way here. And again, these are the things we talked about earlier that, you game plan, you scheme, you say this and that. Brett Favre moving, buying time, picking up stuff. Guys have more time to get open.
Well, I asked you in the beginning of the game if you ever see anything different. If you see Brett Favre, everything is different every time he plays. The Packers over the Buccaneers, 7-0. 5:36 left in the first quarter. Longwell set to kick it off. 7 plays, 67 yards. Kimura, the touchdown pass from Favre. Favre was 4 out of 5 for 60 yards.
And he made a lot of those plays by his movement.
Longwell kicks it off. Anthony will start at about the 6. Packers again close the hole and get Anthony down at the 25. Hollenquist made the stop. The Packers 7, the Buccaneers nothing. 5:26 left in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden at Lambeau Field. Tampa Bay led by Trent Dilfer. And Gilbert Brown, boy, he can stack up some things in the middle. Number 93. He doesn't give much ground. Dilfer back to throw. Up the middle, incomplete. Intended for Rob Thomas. Deflected by one of the Packers.
Yeah, Bernardo Harris was back there and almost had that as an interception. Gilbert Brown is a run stopper, but he's not bad as a pass rush. He just pushes. All he does is push the pocket. See, push, and get right back into the quarterback's face. That's not a great pass rush move. When you think of arm over and head flaps and humps and all those things, when you just take a big guy just pushing the center right back into his quarterback.
2nd and 10. Dilfer to throw it. Pass is caught this time by Moore. That should be enough for first.
That's Trent Dilfer's first completion. As we're talking about Gilbert Brown, you can see why they stopped running at him. Because when they did run at him, they single blocked him, it didn't work. There they double teamed him and it didn't work. Now they get a double team again and try and get in there. I think they probably learned that the one successful run they had was with Warwick Dunn when he ran to the outside.
The other side. Here's Warwick Dunn. And Dunn crosses the 40 for Tampa Bay. Gets to about the 42. Leroy Butler.
You know, and the other thing with this Green Bay Packer defense and this Buccaneer offense is you have to stay with it, and you have to do this for 4 quarters, because I've noticed over the year that the Green Bay Packer defense does wear down, and if you look, they start to get a little tired, and things that aren't there in the first quarter could be there if you stay with it in the third and fourth quarter.
Well, Gilbert Brown and Reggie White, neither one have been able to play full time, so they can't be in great shape. As far as stamina is concerned, here's Dunn. Hit by Bernardo Harris, and he is really playing well.
Yeah, and of course, when you have a Gilbert Brown in there, that's going to help Bernardo Harris, because you can't single block Gilbert Brown. So then when you double him and he's in the middle, that means that the guy who is doubling against Gilbert Brown is probably the guy who should have been blocking Bernardo Harris, so he'll be free a lot on those rundowns.
A lot of middle linebackers have made their names and reputations by just what you just said.
By a great front four will make great linebackers.
Here comes reverse. That's Anthony. And Anthony gets a first down for Tampa Bay. Gilbert Brown made the stop.
That's Gilbert Brown here again. Now we know that when you run right at him, there's not going to be much there. There's George Diaz blocking him, but he'll even run down the line and make a play on you. Now, you know, they say that Gilbert Brown has a box, and he just kind of plays within a box, and if you go away from that, he doesn't get there. This is kind of Gilbert Brown's box that we just showed there, but that time he got out of the box.
Dilfer has caught by Horace Copeland. He was in the air after he gained about 5, and they took him back for a ride of about 3. So let's see where they mark it.
And that's the thing I think with Tampa Bay is they just have to stay with their plan, you know, and just keep running Warwick Dunn, you know, and then just keep running Mike Allstott, because the things again that aren't there now, I feel as this game goes on will be there. Because you got to like a guy like number 40, Mike Allstott. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's a tough runner. You know, he's from this area. I mean, he played college football at Purdue, so this cold weather isn't anything new to him.
2nd and 9. That's done. And he has taken some shots that have caused him to change directions in a hurry.
And that's Brian Williams. You know, we talked about on the offense, we talked about Antonio Freeman, and then on the defense, it's Brian Williams. I mean, Brian Williams is going to sit right here. He goes out of the frame, and then he comes right back in here. Boom, right there. That's the way a linebacker is supposed to hit. He's just sitting there, and he's reading, and then he comes in there and look at his square up. I mean, he gets those shoulders square, those knees bent, that head up, and he puts it right on Warwick Dunn.
3rd and 8. 3 wide receivers. Mayberry's taunting. You pick him up. That's Seth Joyner down, and he's rushing the passer. Dilfer gets to Copeland. Good throw by Dilfer. Doug Evans made the stop, but that's a Buck first down.
Yep. Copeland made a nice move on Doug Evans, but here again, they had the pass protection. You see, we talked about that 3-man line. They put Seth Joyner up there as a pass rusher. Now, the Buccaneers know that. The blitz get there is a little late. Middleton picks it up. They give Trent Dilfer time to pick this up, and here it is right out here. You see Copeland run the in, break away right there, and Trent Dilfer hits him perfectly.
1st and 10 at the Packer 33. Dunn flashes to about the 27.5. Brian Williams made the stop, but Dunn got about 5. Gilbert Brown getting a rest.
Yeah, and you see who made that tackle there was Leroy Butler, and he was saying it's funny. He looks at the tackle charts, and he says that he will make 3 times as many tackles when Gilbert Brown isn't in there as he does when Gilbert Brown is in there.
They'll change into the field as that's the end of the first quarter. Green Bay leading 7-0, but Tampa Bay has put together a pretty good-looking march. Fox
You know, one thing the Buccaneers wanted to do was keep the ball, keep the Green Bay Packers off the field. They've done a pretty good job. In the first quarter, the time of possession, they had the ball 10 minutes, 41 seconds. The Packers only 4 minutes and 19 seconds.
That's enough for them to be ahead 7-0. This is Allstott, who gets maybe a yard and a half or so, and then keeps plugging and pounding until he gets across the 25.
And that's what they have to do, and they have to keep plugging and pounding and mixing and doing those things all day. I mean, they go from Warwick Dunn to Allstott to, you know, a tight end in the backfield. Just keep mixing those formations and keep throwing them at. This is the 11th play of this drive coming up for the Buccaneers.
And this is the way the Bucs like to play it.
But you know, to keep these things going, obviously they're going to have to start scoring touchdowns.
Yep.
The other thing, right now, they have to think in terms of getting a first down.
Dunn is deep. Dilfer to throw it. Out to Dunn or in that direction.
That wasn't even
Dunn had no chance.
No. I mean, Dilfer just threw a poor pass there. He was trying to throw. He only had like 3rd and 2 there, and he was just trying to get it out there quickly, and he just threw that ball like he was throwing a sledgehammer or something. Watch this. He comes back, and he just goes whap, and there's no chance to get that.
No.
And those, they look like the easiest passes to throw, those little, you know, loop things. Those are the toughest passes to throw. Brent Dilfer just proved that.
Another 43-yard field goal attempt coming up with Walsh holding. Husted to kick it. The first one was blocked. Walsh runs the option play, and it gets nothing. Walsh as the Bucs.
He should have optioned. I think he threw it to the wrong guy. I think he should have thrown it to Husted, who was the option guy. He really had 2 option guys there. But here, you see the option here. I think if he he didn't have the kicker either. They played that option well.
This Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by Nike, by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car, and by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
Green Bay 7, Tampa Bay nothing. A little freezing rain overnight, a little bit of snow, but overall it's not too bad for this time of year in Green Bay. That was Dorsey Levens hit by Rufus Porter, hit hard by Rufus Porter, who took a little...
Rufus Porter really had an angle on that play. He comes from here, watch him, and he's going to take a run at it, and he gets a straight shot. He was back off, and he started to run, and he just runs right at this thing, and he hits Levens before he gets a chance to get to the line of scrimmage. Rufus Porter looked like he knew that something was coming, and it did come, but then he got knocked out, too.
Porter goes to the sideline. This is Levens again. Levens stays on his feet and keeps digging. The ball's loose. Tampa Bay, they're signaling Buccaneer ball, and it is. White's got the ball. Maybe you heard the official say that. He took a shot to the head. The official did.
Yeah, the official that was saying White has the ball. And we see this more and more, that every time at the end of the play, you want to get that first tackler in there, and then that second guy or third guy come in and strip. Always go for the strip. That time it was Warren Sapp. You see him? The defensive tackle hustling, getting downfield, second effort, third effort. That's what this Buccaneer defense does. Watch Warren Sapp come in here and just rip that ball out of Dorsey Levens' hand.
Tampa Bay's ball at the Green Bay 30. Turnovers always play such a big part in a game like this. Trent Dilfer looks like he's changing the play. Dilfer goes deep. Pass complete to his tight end, Dave Moore. All the way down at the Packer 15.
That was a thing that Trent Dilfer was talking about that is so tough is going from a running play to a passing play on an audible, and we're going to see here, he sees something, he sees Butler up, he sees 8 men up, he knows that he can get his tight end out there, and that's exactly what he does. He goes play pass, then he throws the ball to his tight end, Dave Moore.
Packers leading 7-0, but the Bucs with a 1st and 10 at the Packer 15. Heretofore, they've gotten very little when they got a turnover. This time, they're ready to go to work with Warwick Dunn, and Dunn cuts down to about the 12.
You see, the Buccaneers are doing this. They're staying with it. We talked about how earlier, in the first quarter, they were taking away the runs. They were taking away things. Then they just stay with it. They just keep doing it. And if you keep doing it, eventually, I think with the running game against the Packer defense, you're going to find something there.
Well, as you said before, we've seen them on occasion when you can wear them down if you keep them on the field, even in weather like this.
Yeah, they do get tired.
Dilfer back to throw it. Pass is almost intercepted as it bounced off and almost intercepted by number 51, Brian Williams.
It looked like it also almost hit the umpire there.
Yeah.
More guys are running patterns towards that umpire, who's behind the defense. And then as they run patterns there, that helps the defense sometimes. Because you see, Here's the umpire right here. That ball goes right over his head, and there's just a split second that you'll lose the ball. Remember last week?
Yeah.
I think Jackie Harris lost the ball because it almost hit an umpire.
That time it was Anthony. Here's Dilfer back to throw. The pass is knocked up in the air, knocked down, and deflected, and Santana, Dotson, and Middleton get into it a little bit.
Well, you know what that's about. Remember Frank Middleton, the last time they played, they said he was the guy that leg whipped Gilbert Brown. Or as Frank Middleton says, that's just the way he plays. Watch Santana Dotson. You see, he's working against his lineman, and then, again, you put your hand in that passing lane. And that's exactly what he does. You don't go straight up over the offensive lineman. You reach out because the quarterback is going to try and throw in the lane, and you reach your arm or hand in that lane.
Again, the Buccaneers will have to settle for an attempted field goal. It's a bad snap over the head of everybody. Houston finally gets on the ball, but the Packers will take over, and the Bucs just can't take advantage of those turnovers.
Tony Dungy can't believe this. There is a penalty on the play, though, but they've had 3 field goals attempts. One was blocked. That one goes over the head, and the other one, they tried the option play that didn't work. Woo!
You just get so many chances.
And that's been the history. That's been the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Green Bay Packers. They can't take advantage of opportunities.
Everybody standing around. Johnny Greer, the referee.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 71. After the play was over, the ball belongs to Green Bay. First down.
Santana Dotson.
There he is right there. And again, this is after the play's over. And we saw him going against Frank Middleton earlier. And that was Frank Middleton. They were just continuing their battle.
He got him.
Center Dave Moore is having a tough time. Remember, he was the guy that Bob Kuberski went over to block the punt. Now he has a bad snap. That's just a high snap there to Steve Walsh. Walsh didn't have a chance to get that ball or get it down.
Just barely got a hand on it.
Dave Moore is the starting tight end, but also the snapper for field goal and extra point.
Green Bay first down at their own 23. Favre to throw. Going deep. I believe it might have been picked off by Lynch.
John Lynch sure got a good jump on that. A lot of times he's up there as the 8th guy, and then sometimes he's off as a deep safety in what they call cover 2. John Lynch was playing cover 2 that time.
He juggled it.
He was the safety who has half of the field. Butcher, and he's going to get the jump here, and he just doesn't get control, but he goes underneath, undercuts that ball, and just drops it.
Yep. 2nd and 10. Favre again drops.
stayed in that cover 2 again. It was the same thing where Lynch and Melvin Johnson is a safety, and they play deep, and then you can get those ends. You see, you're going to come up and get a bump here. The safety's going to get deep. See, so he goes by the bump there, then he comes in the middle, so he catches it between the corner and the deep safety. They're cover 2, and they're giving some big middles in this zone coverage, this Tampa Bay defense.
11. Got some room to about the 49. Anthony Parker made the stop.
Yeah, just look at Brett Favre, Pat, on that last drive, that touchdown. I mean, just some of the things that he does that I don't know that any other quarterback does. I mean, these are all completions. And watch here. I mean, you can rush, you can have him, he still throws balls. You think you got him, he runs, he gets up, he moves here. All those things buys time to let his receivers get open.
And then he can throw it so well after he buys time.
And he doesn't have to have his feet in a perfect position to really put something on the ball.
Second down. Incomplete. Mays took a look upfield before the ball got there.
Yeah, what the Packers are trying to do is use 3 and 4 wide receivers to get that extra corner in. It's Rondé Barber today, number 20, and he's the guy that made that play. Last week it was Floyd Young. In fact, the Packers, when they saw that, they had a whole offense that was organized around Floyd Young being the extra guy, but Floyd Young isn't even active today, and that extra guy is going to be Rondé Barber, who just made that play.
And who just went out of the game.
Yeah, because they're not in 3 wide receivers now. He'll come in 3 or 4 wide receivers.
Back to throw it. Pump fake, and he's from behind by Warren Sapp. The Packers get it back.
Boy, that's the second one of those plays that Sapp made. Look at Sapp is still talking there to Favre. Favre wants to go after Sapp. Hold him back. It's like a wrestling match out there.
I'm not sure he wants to go after Warren.
Well, he did. I mean, he had a second thought. They finally held him back. But he did go after him. But watch Warren Sapp here. He is a very, very active defensive tackle. I mean, he goes right around Aaron Taylor there. Now watch, he's going after the ball. And he goes right just to chop that thing out of there. That would have been a fumble if Earl Dotson doesn't recover it. Now look at Favre. I don't know you want to do too much of that unless you have a whole lot of people standing behind you somewhere.
Anthony signals fair catch and makes it at about the 13-14-yard line. Favre and Sapp had some words, and they butted helmets. Warren Sapp hasn't run out of words yet, has he?
Well, he's saying everything that he's done, everything he's doing, and everything he's going to do. But I'll tell you, for a defensive tackle, he doesn't just stay in the middle. Warren Sapp is all over the field and making things happen.
He's another guy who has fun playing the game.
Yeah, he has fun all the time. He's the type of guy that you look for that you'd like to have on your side.
Here's Dilfer dropping. And going deep, and Riddell Anthony had a couple of steps, but couldn't catch up. There's Warren Sapp and Brett Favre and banging face masks.
Yeah, it was funny. Warren Sapp was saying yesterday that he has fun playing against Brett Favre. He said because Brett Favre has fun playing, and he says those are the kind of guys you like to hunt. So to Warren Sapp, Brett Favre is a hunt.
2nd and 10. Warwick Dunn. And Dunn gets out to about the 20 and then is pushed back by Brian Williams. Our Aflac trivia question: how did the expression "huck and buck" come to be used in the NFL? You remember huck and buck?
Yeah, sometimes you just put "ol" in front of it. You just don't call it huck and buck. You put the old huck and buck. Give me the old huck and buck.
I remember it well.
Gilbert Brown not playing. We talked about how the Packers tend to tire in the 3rd and 4th quarters, and one of the ways they try not to do that is keep them fresh and keep them off the field earlier in the game.
Dilfer, incomplete. Horace Copeland, the intended receiver. Doug Evans, the defender, excuse me.
Anytime there's a third down, you know that Reggie White is going to... Jason Odom blocks down, and then they put Warwick Dunn as man-to-man, having to pass block Reggie White. Now that one they use, that's a design I do not understand.
Landetta's punt is handled by Robert Brooks, and a flag on the play. Going back to what you were talking about as they check out this penalty, Reggie White outweighs Warwick Dunn by 140 pounds.
I don't know how a coach can draw it up and say, okay, Jason Odom, you're my 300-pound tackle. You block down. Warwick Dunn, you're my 175-pound halfback. You block 300-pound Reggie White. And they draw that up. I mean, that just didn't happen. I mean, that was just regular pass rush.
Illegal block in the back. Number 42 during the return. First down.
Darren Sharper's 42.
And here Darren Sharper is right there. And there's the illegal block in the back right there.
They'll walk it off against the Packers. Gilbert Brown jump here.
Well, that's, in case Gilbert Brown were, to intercept a ball or a fumble and run it in the end zone, and then he's looking for a place to jump, to do that Lambeau leap. I don't know that I'd want to be carrying that sign around the back of that kiss.
No, I don't want Gilbert Brown jumping. Here's Favre, chased again, he gets away. Brett Favre scrambles for about 6. Reagan Upshaw made the stop.
And I think that's what they were complaining about, or the fans are complaining about it, that he went feet first and you're not supposed to be able to touch him.
Again, how did the expression huck and buck come to be used in the NFL? That's our Aflac trivia question. And here comes the answer. Jim Lawhead's his name. The photographer used to take pictures of every NFL team. That's Henry Jordan in the background. And he was posing and showing you the huck and buck. 11. And
he would tell everyone, to give me the old huck and buck.
Yep.
That's just Jim Taylor there in a normal run.
Willie Davis,
and doing a little karaoke there. Jerry Kramer, like he's pulling. But there's a huck and buck there. That's the old huck and buck. I mean, he would tell you that. That's where you cross over the leg and put your hands out.
Yep.
That's the one he always wanted. Give me the old huck and buck.
I had a lot of problems doing the huck and buck.
Now, I even did the huck and buck as a tackle, and I used to say, tackles and guards aren't supposed to do huck and bucks, and he would just say, just do the huck and buck. The old huck and buck.
Here's Favre to throw and gets the ball upfield to Dorsey Levens as the Bucs put the pressure on. Levens didn't quite get the first down.
You wonder how he got that ball in there.
Yep.
It wasn't enough for a first down. Like you said, they had to punt. That was one of those zone dogs. And you're going to see the middle is going to back out, and they get the rush. You see Culpepper starts out, and here's Culpepper. He's dropping back. He's the tackle, and he almost got the interception.
Hendrick punts it to Anthony. Again, signals fair catch. It is an annual football tradition, and on Sunday, January the 18th, it is back. It takes a certain caliber player to make this team, so find out who from around the league will be selected to the blockbuster 15th annual All-Madden team on Sunday, January the 18th. Check your local listings for the starting time in your area. A lot of people waiting with a lot of anticipation, a lot of hopes.
Well, we're still taking nominations. We're still looking at players. We're still doing interviews. I mean, you have some people. You have to look at some people you talk to. And this thing is international now. We still have to go over and talk to some people in other countries about what they would want.
And they have some strange wishes.
People in other countries?
Yes.
Yeah. You never know.
Again, the Buccaneers send Warwick Dunn straight ahead. He crosses the 20, stopped by Gilbert Brown.
Now Gilbert Brown is coming off a rest, and we'll see again. This is a guy, if you're going to run, this is the guy that you have to block. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers know that, so they're going to double him. They get a good double on him, and then they're going to be able to run off of that thing. But the double doesn't stay on. See, the outside guy, in that case it was Frank Middleton, number 73, he has to turn him and lock him. He can't stay square on him or let Gilbert Brown stay square on him, if you know what I mean.
Done again. A couple.
Yeah, that didn't. Yeah, that time they tried to run away from Gilbert Brown. There was some stuff in there. George Coons was in there to make that tackle.
Bring up third down. Still 7-0. 5:10 left to play in the second quarter.
You see, it's a three-man line, and they're trying to get away, so they do get away from Gilbert Brown. But again, with the three-man line, that brings 4 linebackers with it, and those 4 linebackers are excellent pursuers.
And that was George Coons that made the stop. And Dilfer back to throw it. Has to come out of there as the pressure gets to him. He did well to hang on to the ball. No chance to throw it.
That was Leroy Butler from the backside. The first guy was from his front side was Reggie White. And I think Reggie White contained him and held him up enough so that he could get caught from that backside by Leroy Butler. Leroy Butler's as good a blitzer as there is, but watch Reggie White come up here, 92 on the onside. See, he's the first guy there that makes Trent Dilfer see him and then get outside of him. He didn't see nor feel Leroy Butler coming from that backside.
Landetta's punt is a good one. Handled by Brooks. And he's got some room. Landetta waiting back, but it was not Landetta that knocked him out of bounds.
You know, that's how you can tell.
Elvin Johnson.
You know, Pat, we talk about big games and intensity and what it means. When you get Robert Brooks, when you get one of your best players returning punts, you know it's a big game. Remember for years with the Washington Redskins when Joe Gibbs was there, anytime Darrell Green was a punt returner, you knew it was a big game.
And we saw him break a couple of big games.
Right, and when you see Robert Brooks back there, you know all holds barred, we're going all out. That's what Mike Holmgren and his staff is thinking.
Of course, last year they had Desmond Howard. He's gone, and they put Robert Brooks in. And Levens takes the fake, and Favre throws down the middle pass complete to Brooks. It'll be first and goal at the 7.
And that was a great fake to get in the I formation, and that holds the thing. And then you're going to see Robert Brooks. He's just right here. He goes right in the middle. And again, they've made some big plays in that zone defense, that cover 2, where the safeties are off. They've given them a big soft middle, and that's about the 4th play that the Packers have hit in that middle against that cover 2.
First and goal. Brooks in motion. Favre will throw if he has time. Gets the ball to his fullback Henderson, and Henderson gets down inside the 5. Favre bought some time.
You say he'll throw if he has time, and if he doesn't have time, he'll make some time, and that's exactly what he does in every football game this guy plays. You know, and it has to frustrate the defense. You know, you go and you're rushing the guy and you're staying in your lanes. You have your coverage. You're doing all the things the coaches tell you. And then he just escapes, buys some more time, and makes a play.
Levens comes out. Henderson stays. They go with 2 tight ends. 2 wideouts. Henderson. Maybe got a yard.
Anytime you just see one back here, you know who's going to carry the ball. So Brett Favre has the fake here. Now watch what he does. After he hands off, he fakes like the old jump pass.
Yeah.
That doesn't do any good when you just hand it to the fullback straight up the middle.
That looked like the Huckenbuck.
That was the thing that
with no result.
They had everyone else huck and buck, and then they'd have the quarterback, jumping in the air, throwing a jump pass.
2 minutes left to play in the first half. 7-0.
This Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by the 1998 Honda Accord, an Accord like no other.
These people who are regulars at Packer games this time of year think this is balmy.
They have to be the toughest there is. What's Chidi Ahanatu, number 72? He just steps on Adam Timmerman's face. And the first guy to see it is Brett Favre. He says, hey, not to my guys, you don't do that. This second down and 2 here, third down and 2 here, this is a passing down. This is not a goal line play or a short yardage. This is a passing play.
3 tight ends, Levens in motion. Favre's going to run it in, or try to. Let it go to Henderson, and he was just too close to him.
And we talk about Brett Favre and playing, and I think he has that philosophy, that if it is a game we are playing, I'm going out there playing. And he knew that when he started to run, he just threw that ball too hard. That Henderson was there, and it was the option where, if they drop off, he can run that thing in, and if they come up, he can drill it in there to his receiver, and he really drilled it in Henderson.
Henderson just couldn't get his hands up.
He's an old fullback.
Longwell hits the field goal. And that makes it 10-0 Green Bay. It was a 21-yarder by number 8, who's done a whale of a job this year. Green Bay 10, Tampa Bay 0. Our guys getting ready for the halftime. The Dockers Khakis halftime report. They're, of course, live here at Lambeau Field. JB, Terry, Howie, and Ronnie. They'll have their analysis of the first half. Also, our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second postseason stats. All coming up on the Dockers Khakis halftime. The boys look reasonably warm today, don't they?
Yeah, that's a good place to be. I mean, they're right down there. They're not above the action or away from the action. They're right down there in the action. Rydell back deep. Trent Dilfer is only 4 out of 14 for 44 yards. And we're talking about running. They have to be able to run the ball, but they have to be able to throw it better than that, too.
Short kick. Anthony from the 14 is knocked down at about the 28 right now. For a look at playoff history, let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat and John, what a day in Super Bowl I for Max McGee. Only 4 catches on the season. He had 7 catches, 2 touchdowns in this game. Elijah Pitts caps today with his second touchdown run, and Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers win Super Bowl I.
And, of course, Elijah Pitts, Ron Pitts' dad. I was standing right behind the Packer bench when all that was going on.
Right behind Vince Lombardi?
Right behind Vince Lombardi.
Oh, and now you're talking about great ones.
Pass is picked off by the Packers' Tyrone Williams. Bounced off the Buccaneer receiver. Dropped Thomas. And Williams came down with it. Tough first half for Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, that's what happens when a guy's 4 for 14 and you say that he has to do better than that. Then they start to force some things, and the Packers, where they were putting pressure early, now you can see that they're just playing a softer zone. The ball bounces up in the air. Tyrone Williams was right there to get the interception.
Right now is a big series for the Buccaneers. Because if the Packers get into the end zone here, score a touchdown, you can start to think, hey, we just can't beat these guys.
Well, you would think that they even thought that coming into this game, because they haven't been able to do it.
Incomplete, no flags. Antonio Freeman, the intended receiver.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes Brett Favre throws some balls that you don't know that, you know, if he has so much confidence in that arm. I mean, you see double coverage, triple coverage, and you see the guys in, and he still throws that ball in there, and you think, well, that's one that he would like back, or one that he wouldn't want to throw, but he completes so many balls like this. I mean, there's a guy inside, a guy outside. They're hitting Antonio Freeman as he catches the ball, and you say, boy, that's a bad pass. You shouldn't do that. But if it's Brett Favre, maybe sometimes it's okay.
2nd and 10. Well, sometimes he throws into double coverage just with so much confidence. Blitz coming. Screen pass called. Levens gets to the 20-18. Not enough for a first down. Brad Culpepper has his own blitz.
Yeah, and Dorsey Levens made a nice adjustment there. Instead of taking a screen to the outside, the zone blitz was coming, so he just took the screen straight up the middle. See, here's Dorsey Levens right here, and you see he starts out to the left, and then he stops. You see him stop and come back because they read the screen. They started to go out. They started to go out to that side. He saw the defense go out, and then he stopped and made a great adjustment.
They need a couple for a first down. They give it to Levens. He gets it. Inside the 15. Hardy Nickerson brought him down.
And now with 44 seconds, the Packers have all 3 timeouts, so they're in great position time-wise here.
They just took 1, so they have 2 left. JB and Terry, Howie and Ronnie getting ready for the Dockers Khakis halftime report. Look at this. In the stadium sentiment nearby, obviously, Howie Long and Firestorm. And he's the guy listed. He's the star.
That's when you know you're big. When you get your name up like that in Green Bay.
Farm. Incomplete. Intended for Henderson.
You know what I liked about that sign, though, with Howie Long and the movie and all that, it was above Mr. Magoo. You know, had it been, Mr. Magoo and then Howie Long, you'd say,
what's above the jackal?
Howie Long, yeah. See, I mean, here's Howie Long up here, and here's Mr. Magoo here. See, but if Mr. Magoo was up here and Howie Long was down there, you'd say, uh-oh, Howie, you lost it, man.
And then he's above Scream 2 and as good as it gets. They didn't have room for all that.
Well, the Green Bay Packers have 3 wide receivers here, and this is where they go to the end zone.
On the exchange between Winters and Favre, and they did well to get it back.
This will be a discussion now between Frank Winters and Brett Favre, 2 best friends. They're going to take a timeout here. But watch this. You see, it looked like the ball didn't get up there, or as it did get up there, Brett Favre just dropped it. But he says sometimes he'll go on a long countdown there, and Frank Winters will snap the ball before it's supposed to be snapped. He said also sometimes he'll come out before it's supposed to be snapped.
3rd and 10. Favre rolling and throwing. Pass incomplete. Got away from Brooks. And here comes Longwell.
Yeah, there seemed in this first half to be a lot of drop passes, but there also seemed to be a lot of real hard passes by both these quarterbacks. I mean, Brett Favre throws this one. Brett Favre threw one earlier to Henderson. I mean, those balls are really drilled in there. And you remember Trent Dilfer just threw that interception. It bounced off his guys. I mean, balls have been bouncing off receivers in this first half.
32 yards out for Ryan Longwell to make it 13-0. Routine. And Green Bay is going to go to the locker room leading 13-0. 2 seconds left.
But I think the Tampa Bay ought to be happy with that, because Tony Dungy can now talk about, okay, 2 touchdowns and we're ahead. I mean, it's not like we're being blown out here. Our defense really played well. I mean, after that turnover, to come up and hold the Packers to 3 points was a good play by the Tampa Bay defense.
What he can't be happy about is not being able to take advantage of those turnovers. That's something that's really plagued him. Next Sunday, don't forget. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern Time. We'll be in San Francisco as the 49ers overwhelmed Minnesota yesterday.
You know, you wonder what the 49ers are doing now. You know that they're going to play the winner of this game, but do they start working on Green Bay now? Do they do both teams now? Do they just sit, enjoy the game, watch it, and then go to work after the game is over?
That would be my guess.
I'll bet you what they did is a little work on both teams, though, because as a coach, the last thing you want to do is get ready for a championship game by sitting by idly.
Bouncing kickoff, handled by the Buccaneers. Steve White. That's the end of the first half. With the score, Green Bay 13, Tampa Bay nothing. This NFC Divisional playoff game will continue with Dockers Khakis halftime report after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Halftime just about over. Both the teams are out of the locker rooms. 13-0. Green Bay leads Tampa Bay. Let's have a look at the halftime statistics. $53 yards rushing by Tampa Bay, 32 passing yards, 2 turnovers for the Bucs, 1 by the Packers. And the big thing, as far as I can see, is that the Bucs have not been able to score after they got a turnover.
Yeah, that's the thing, or any other opportunities. I mean, they got in scoring range 3 times, then they had to go for field goal attempt 3 times. 1 was blocked. Remember, the first one was blocked. The second one, they tried an option play that didn't work, and then on the third one, they had a bad snap over the holder's head. So the Buccaneers did have the ball. They won the time of possession. They had the opportunities, but they just didn't take advantage of those opportunities.
What'd you do during the halftime, John?
Yeah, I talked to Steve Mariucci, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, because I was just wondering what they were doing, and he said what they're doing is the players right now are watching this game, and they're going to come in and have a meeting after the game's over. Then they'll go over yesterday's game film and start getting ready for the winner of this game.
You mean you didn't get a chance to get anything to eat or anything?
No. Well, I got something to eat out there. I mean, I talked to Matt Millen out there, and he was eating what I was supposed to be eating, so I didn't get to eat everything I was going to eat.
He'll do that.
And then I got Steve Mariucci on the phone, and he was watching yesterday's game film. He's watching this game. The players are watching this game. He said they've taken off both teams. They've gotten ready for both of these teams already. There's Matt Millen right there.
Doing radio.
Yeah, he's doing radio here, and he was taking a spot off my jacket. My son said that's an oxymoron.
This is Antonio Freeman. Flag on the play. Freeman settling it out. He's going to go all the way. Antonio Freeman. But there's a flag way back at the 20-yard line. He doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, but he's going to find out quickly because it's going to be against the Green Bay Packers, too. Tampa Bay defense is going out to the 20.
Yeah.
Referee Johnny Greer there.
Holding.
Boy, that could have broken this game wide open.
Yep.
Yeah, you talked about big players in big games and
Holding number 42 of the receiving team during the return.
Darren Sharper.
That's his second penalty on special teams on Darren Sharper today. But that was a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about big players making big plays in big games. Remember Robert Brooks? He returns a punt. He gets a big play for a punt return, good field position. Antonio Freeman, he's returning kickoffs. He just gets this big kickoff return, which would have been a touchdown had it not been for Darren Sharper's penalty.
As it is, they back up to the 11-yard line.
Listen to this crowd, though, Paul. It just went a hush. I mean, it was going wild, crazy, and then boom, down to a hush.
11. Levens breaks tackles. He broke away from Lynch and kept going. Let's quickly go down to Ron Pitts.
All right, thank you, Pat. You know, going into halftime, Mike Holmgren said he was very upset, very disappointed. Said the team is playing like they're on a sandlot, on a playground. We got to start playing professional football. He wants to try to run it a little bit more. On the other side of the ball, Tony Dungy offensively, he said we got to be better on first down, look for more passing coming out of the box on first down. Defensively, they're hurting them down the middle of the field on the pass play. He said we will switch up our zones to prevent that. Pat, back up to you.
It's 1st and 10, Green Bay, as Favre drops.
And they're in that same zone.
Gets to 11, excuse me.
I was just going to say that zone that they're using, that they really hurt them in the first half, is that cover 2, and you know where the safeties go deep. Here's what it is. Here's cover 2. The corners come up here. This safety comes here. John Lynch, the safety, goes there. This corner comes up, and where the Packers really hurt them is in this area in the middle. But see, this is what a cover 2 is. With the safeties off and going back, the corners coming up, and they've had a big middle in that first half.
2nd and 6. Fakes to Evans, throws to Freeman. Into Buck territory across midfield, stopped by Parker.
I'll tell you, that was a great play by Brett Favre because he saw the safety come up. You see Parker's out there. The safety vacates this area, so Antonio Freeman starts to go in that area that the safety vacated. Watch, here's the safety. Now, when he comes up here, this area right here is going to be vacated. See, now watch that free safety come up. You see there? Now, that's going to make that hole right there for Antonio Freeman. That hole right there where that ball was hit.
That play fake brought the safety up. 2 tight ends set up for Green Bay now. Levens the deep back, and he gets the carry. Dorsey Levens gets across the 45 to the 44.
Well, Ron Pitts says that was one of the things that Mike Holmgren talked about at halftime that he wanted to be able to do was to be able to run the ball more, and you can see that they are going to that. And Dorsey Levens got that big run on the outside and the left, and then now pounding it in there in the middle. And Dorsey Levens is one of those guys that you have to keep running because he tends to get better as the game goes on.
That's one of the things that Mike Holmgren told us yesterday surprised him about Dorsey Levens this year. How strong he was, how durable he was. There he is again.
Sometimes Warren Sapp is so quick that he'll take himself out of the play, and that time he did. I mean, he was over the left guard, Aaron Taylor, and he just stunted to the inside, and they ran right in the area that he vacated. But here, watch Sapp here. He's going to come in here, and he makes that move so quickly. You see how quickly he gets in there? He reacts or overreacts, and they ran right where he was. Watch, he takes that inside, and look at the hole that he creates. Then he gets the lead, and that's where Dorsey Levens went.
3rd down. Here's Favre to throw it. Dumps it out to Henderson. Henderson will get the first down with that last surge. Rufus Porter tripped him up. Well, maybe he didn't get the first down.
I don't know. It depends on where that official puts that foot. Frankie Bag of Donuts, number 52, the center, was down there to argue that one. He saw the bad spot. Frank Winters will usually go wherever the ball is to find out what's going on around the football.
He's in the middle of that offensive line. Look at the shoulder pads he wears. Look like a couple of towels.
He doesn't want anything to grab. He doesn't want to be grabbed when he's in there. He doesn't want to give him anything to grab. This was an interesting spot. It looked like the ball got beyond that mark.
Sure did.
Then they brought it back. It's going to be short.
Do you go? Gotta go.
I think so. In this situation, playing at home, I would think that you would. I would think that in this situation you could just go a quarterback sneak. I mean, I don't think you need a deep handoff or anything because we're just talking about inches here. I mean, I would think that Brett Favre would just take the ball and sneak it. They look a little confused. William Henderson was in the huddle, then he came out of the huddle towards the sideline. The Packers, whatever they called, better get it called.
Fourth and inches.
Yeah, I think this has to be a quarterback sneak situation.
They're hoping to get them spread out. Levens. Dorsey Levens.
or hand it off to Dorsey Levens inside and let him run the option where he can either keep it inside, press the point, or he can bounce it out, which he did there.
Nice to have a horse like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I formation, start with a lead. He starts into this area and then just bounces it outside. See, that's kind of an option thing. Boom, he gets the lead there. Everyone comes up, plugs up that hole, and then Dorsey Levens has enough speed and quickness to get to the outside.
And got the first down. 1st and 10, Green Bay at the 25 of Tampa Bay.
Dorsey Levens has gained 41 yards on this drive alone.
Henderson moved. Far back to throw it. Pass is picked off and what an interception by Donnie Abraham. That looked like it was over everybody's head.
Well, Robert Brooks was going to the inside, and Brett Favre throws it to the outside right to Donnie Abraham. Watch in the middle here. Here's Brooks right here. Now he's going to come to the inside, and Brett Favre throws it back to the outside like he didn't anticipate that pattern.
Bucks take over.
This Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Bud Light. If you want great taste to fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Firestorm from 20th Century Fox starring Howie Long on Friday, Fight Fire with Fire. And by Microsoft. Where do you want to go today?
It is going to be very difficult for the Buccaneers to hear in this end zone down here. 1st and 10. Dilfer to Dunn, and Dunn flag on the play as Dunn spins back to about the 5. Bernardo Harris made the stop.
Let's watch that interception again of Donnie Abraham. We'll see what happens. Here's John Lynch, and he's going to come on a blitz, and he hits Brett Favre's hand just as he throws the ball. His hand arm. You see 47 sneak up here, sneak up here, sneak up here. Now watch him. He comes. He goes through William Henderson, and watch him. He hits his with his left hand. He hits Brett Favre's right hand. So that's why when Robert Brooks went in, the ball went out, is because right here, John Lynch hits Brett Favre's hand just as he throws the ball.
2nd and 11, the penalty was declined by the Packers. And Dilfer drops into the end zone and goes deep. Pass is incomplete. Juggled by Anthony as he headed out of bounds.
Yeah, we always talk about advantage, and look at this. In 3 games against Green Bay this season, Tampa Bay has gotten 6 turnovers, and they've only gotten 6 points off them. So this is a thing that they, that they talk about, that they had to do, that when we get opportunities, we have to take advantage. When we get turnovers, we have to make things happen. They haven't been able to do it. Now, this isn't a fair one here because they did get the ball inside the 5-yard line, and to say, well, can you score a 95-yard touchdown? Well, what the heck are we talking about?
3rd and 10. In the meantime, Dilfer got a man, Anthony, and Anthony is to the Packer 43-yard line.
Maybe they can score a 95-yard touchdown after a turnover. Donnie Abraham got that turnover, and they've been taking these shots all day.
Look
and the first
protection.
thing it starts with is pass protection. That's a 3-man line with Seth Joyner rushing in there. They do a good job on Seth Joyner. Give Trent Dilfer plenty of time, and he can get Riddell Anthony right here. And if Riddell Anthony doesn't have that pack on his back, I don't know that this isn't a 95-yard touchdown.
He might have been gone.
That's that old thing like flag football.
Yeah.
You go and you grab the flag out of there. Woo.
1st and 10 at the Green Bay 43. Dilfer gives to Allstott. Allstott crosses the Packer 40. Reggie White.
Allstott has a little swerve to him. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Williams
normally
came up to tackle him. No. I mean, usually he'll just run over a linebacker. That time Brian Williams came up there and he was in the hole, and Allstott gave him a little move. He looked like Warwick Dunn there.
There's an injured Packer down. That's Reggie White. And I noticed Gilbert Brown limping. Of course, he had a bad ankle, limping off the field earlier in that series. It's 13-0. At Lambeau Field. Pat Summerall, John Madden. Reggie White seems okay, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he was just on the bottom of a pile, and someone fell on him. But as he came off the field, he said he was okay. I saw he gave a thumbs up. He was okay.
Second down. Allstott near the 35.
When Mike Allstott started playing football, he was talking about, Super Pee Wee?
Super Pee Wee.
At
when he was
6 years old. And he said his parents started, and in fact, his dad was a Pee Wee coach, but he was a heavyweight Pee Wee coach. But he said his mom and dad started coming to his games when he was 6 years old. And all the way through Pee Wee, grammar school, high school, college, and pro, they have never missed one of his games, and there they are.
3rd and 3. Allstott is a deep back. Dilfer has a man wide open. That's Dave Moore. Moore is inside the 10. Tripped up by Eugene Robinson.
That was one of the first good things that Dave Moore did today. Dave Moore, of course, is a tight end, but he is also the snapper. He's had some problems in that area. And you see him here. He started to run like a hook pattern.
Yep.
And because Dilfer had so much time, Moore was able to go back up the field like in a scramble thing. Then Dilfer saw him and threw him a perfect pass in there.
1st and goal, Tampa Bay from the 8-yard line.
Eugene Robinson made a touchdown-saving tackle.
Warwick Dunn to about the 6. Robinson made the tackle. Dunn got a couple.
That's two big tackles by Robinson. I mean, this one here not as big, but that one before on Dave Moore was a big tackle by Eugene Robinson. Because if he doesn't make that again, that's a touchdown for the Buccaneers. And remember last week we were talking in the Detroit game that the toughest points are always the first ones.
Patrick Hape was late arriving. Dilfer came over and told him what the play was. Allstott. Touchdown.
Well, he made that look easy, didn't he?
Did he ever?
There's old Dennis Allstott up there, Jeannie Allstott, saying that's my son. Gilbert Brown is down. We talked about the run and how if you stay with it in the 3rd quarter, it becomes easier than it is in the 1st and 2nd quarter.
Gilbert Brown was limping earlier. Now he's limping a little bit more.
Well, that's just before the play started. It didn't look like it was even going to be one. Trent Dilfer has to come over to Patrick Hape, and he whispers him to play. Then Hape is on this side. Now Hape has to go in motion to this side, and he became the lead blocker for Mike Allstott.
Extra point by Husted is good. Somebody got a hand on it, but that was a low kick. Still got through, and he just shakes his head. 8 plays, 94 yards, 401. The Bucs kept it. 13-7 now. Green Bay over Tampa Bay. 6:17 left in the 3rd. And you're so right, John, about this Buccaneer attack. You just got to be patient. Don't throw it every down. This is Antonio Freeman retreating back into the goal line area and then bringing it out to about the 25. A flag on the play. Sheldon Quarles knocked him out of bounds.
Personal foul, face mask. Number 15 of the kicking team will penalize 15 yards.
Let's go back and look at that touchdown again.
Yeah, remember, after Dilfer came over and talked to Patrick Hape, then he goes in motion, and he becomes a lead blocker right there. He makes a heck of a block on Eugene Robinson. You say, how did Mike Allstott just walk into the end zone? Because Patrick Hape knocked down Eugene Robinson.
Knocked down and backwards.
And sideways.
The 13-7, Green Bay leading Tampa Bay. Third quarter, 6:07 left to play in the third. All the games between these two teams since Tony Dungy's been in Tampa Bay have been close games.
You know, anytime that Tony Dungy coaches a team, they're well coached defensively, and you don't score a lot of points. It's very difficult to score on.
This is Dorsey Levin. He gets out to about the 44-yard line.
I think that's the thing we talked about earlier, that these teams know each other so well. Yep. Of course, they're in the same division. They play each other twice every year. And even before Tony Dungy came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he coached the Minnesota Vikings, so he was in the same division. So Mike Holmgren and Tony Dungy have played against each other for so long that anything that they could do, both of them have seen before.
Levin's got 5, 2nd and 5. 3 wide receivers for the Packers. Retreats. Going deep. Freeman had a step. The ball went right through his arms. That might have been deflected.
I don't know that was deflected. That looked like a perfect throw by Brett Favre. Antonio Freeman, remember earlier in the year, he had a problem dropping passes. I don't know, but this one looks like it's right there. That just goes right through there. The Packer receivers, look at that. They've dropped 5 passes today. And I think that's the thing that, Ron Pitts talked to Mike Holmgren at halftime. And I think that's the thing that upset Mike Holmgren so much is that they're playing like sandlot football. They're dropping passes. They're throwing it all over. They're not running the ball.
Favre back to throw. Sapp chases. Sapp has him. Warren Sapp broke loose.
Warren Sapp was kind of raised from today. You see, here's Warren Sapp right here, and again, he really, when that ball snapped, he really gets off the ball, and he just breaks through. Now, what happened? That was a stunt. Ross Verba was supposed to get him. Aaron Taylor took the outside guy. Verba was supposed to take the inside guy, and that's why Warren Sapp split both of them.
Greg Hendrick back to punt for Green Bay. Anthony back deep. Anthony. Couple of pretty good moves by Rydell Anthony.
Boy, there's some good hitting going on down there. This is good hitting weather today.
Out to the 35. Warren Sapp.
Yeah, we talk about the Gunners and the what they have to go through. Here's Travis Jervey, the Green Bay Packers. Now, he made the Pro Bowl for doing this. So once you make the Pro Bowl, you become a marked guy. Now you got 2 guys on you, and with those guys out there, anything goes. I don't think they have any rules anymore, and they just stay on him. They say someone may make the tackle on this play, but it's not going to be number 32, Travis Jervey.
Good job of him on that. First down, Tampa Bay at their own 30, just inside their own 35. Anthony was the man in motion. They fake to Allstott. Lots of time for Dilfer. He just throws it away. Finally, he couldn't find anybody. He had forever.
Yeah, you see, we talk about, you're tiring. And then they're starting to handle Gilbert Brown now. He's getting a little tired. That ankle's starting to bother him. They're starting to get movement on him now. That last one was a touchdown, but you can just see even that last play there, Trent Dilfer didn't get a completed pass, but he had all kinds of time.
He really did. Just couldn't find anybody breaking open. 2nd and 10. See if they blitz. They're showing blitz. They don't, it's Allstott. He gets a couple. Right now, for a look at playoff history, let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat and John, December 31st, 1967, the Ice Bowl game, temperature 13 below, minus 46 with the wind chill. Bart Starr sneaks it in from the 1 with 13 seconds left, and the Packers pick up their 3rd straight NFL championship.
I froze on that day, too. on the sideline.
Along with a lot of other people.
3rd and 7. Butler comes clean. Dilfer throws. Nobody around. Flag on the play, maybe. Yes, there is. The heat by Butler.
Yeah, it was Butler from one side and Keith McKenzie from the other side. Trent Dilfer saw Butler coming, but when he turned, Keith McKenzie, number 95, was there. Then he tried to throw it away just as he was hit.
Intentional grounding, number 12 on the offense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. It's also a loss of down. 4th down.
You know, here's Butler. He's going to see Butler, but he's not going to see McKenzie. Watch Butler. You see, he comes here. He sees Butler right now, and watch when he turns there. There's McKenzie. So McKenzie hits him, and he throws it away, and he's in the pocket. Had he been outside the tight end area, he could have done that.
Landella to kick it. And it's a good punt. Going to be handled by Brooks. And Brooks is down outside the 40, about the 46-yard line. Sunday, January the 18th, World War III will be fought on ice. Don't miss Canada's Wayne Gretzky and America's John LeClair when they lead the best players from North America against the world in an Olympic preview. Don't miss the NHL All-Star Game live from Vancouver. Sunday, January the 18th at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on Fox. And don't forget the All-Madden team that same day.
You know, can you believe that we're on the same day with the hockey and all those things happening? And then it's the 15th annual.
That's what I can't believe.
No, that's hard to believe. And it started off as a lark. It still is a lark. I mean,
yeah.
It's a 15-year experience lark.
15 years of fun.
Yeah. Lurching in a lark, trying to put on a muffler.
Dorsey Levin dragged down as he gets across the 50. They'll mark it just about midfield.
You know, this game here, and again, a lot of it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense, which is really a well-played team defense, but the Packers haven't been able to really get in sync to keep anything going. You know,
that's the thing about Tampa.
Yeah, that's what they do. I mean, you know, it's the old bend but don't break. Here they're in that cover 2 again.
Here's Favre to throw it. Chased by Sapp. Gets away from Warren Sapp.
He got hit by his own guy. The first guy to hit him was number 78, Ross Verba, in the green jersey.
And then Culpepper brought him down.
And Favre was going to say, where the heck did he come from? We talk about the cover 2. You see how deep the safety is here. Then there's another safety back here. But Verba is the guy that gets back and hits him. See, and he's trying to hit this middle in this cover 2. Here's the area that they're trying to get in. You see, the 2 safeties are deep, but they're playing that middle a little tighter now.
Yep. At midfield, 3rd down, Green Bay. 3rd and 6. Retreats. Pass is complete to Levens, and he's going to be... Whoa, he broke the tackle, and Levens stays on his feet and gets a first down. Charles Mincy finally made the stop. And he just broke a couple of tackles.
And that was the thing that the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Monty Kiffin, said last night that they do. He said they're going to catch some things, but when they catch them, we have to tackle. We have to tackle well. And on this play here against Dorsey Levens, they didn't. Although this is some good running by Dorsey Levens.
Yes, too. It is.
I mean, he makes a move right here. He gives a little straight arm here. He gets here. John Lynch comes in and misses right there. That's a missed tackle. There's a missed tackle, and they finally get him down.
2 of the best tacklers missed, Lynch and Nickerson.
You know, John Lynch is really beat up.
Yeah.
And he has 2 bad knees. He's hardly able to practice at all, but there is one tough guy, John Lynch.
Fake to Levens. Chased by Warren Sapp. And Sapp waits for Culpepper to get there. Warren, they've had a
I know what Sapp was saying.
conversation.
Yeah, the officials are saying, get back in your side. I know what Sapp is saying, though, that he can catch him. That Brett Favre can't run away from him. What's Sapp here? I mean, he is quick. I mean, he takes this guy, he gets by there, and he chases Brett Favre down. Then he goes for the ball. Then he keeps going for Brett. And then finally, Brad Culpepper gets in to finish the deal.
Brings up second and long.
But old Sapp was hunting on that play.
Pass is incomplete. Hit Brooks in the foot.
I think Favre is a little tired there after watch this. He changes hands with the ball. See, he's trying to get away from Sapp. Sapp is going for the strip, and had he left it in the right hand, I think Warren Sapp would have stripped that ball on that play before.
I think Favre put that shirt on that Sapp's got right there on at the half. He didn't have that on the first half.
Well, it didn't help him throw that last ball. He threw what you call a drop ball. It hit
Brooks in the foot.
Right in the foot. High ball drinker, low ball thrower.
He has time this time. Steps up and fires, and the pass is caught by Derek Mays. A diving catch by Mays. He got it.
Well, that's that area that we were talking about in these zones, and that's the area that the Packers have really had success with, is hitting that middle area. That Favre is a real warrior. I mean, he just hangs in there, and you know that if you're going to throw the ball, you have to block Warren Sapp. So now they're doubling. They got Frank Winters blocking him, Taylor blocking him, and then Dorsey Levens coming in as a third guy, because they know that if they can get the pass protection, they can get the ball into the middle. That time it was Derek Mays.
That's going to be the end of the third quarter. Warren Sapp is really fired up. The end of the third quarter with the score: Green Bay 13, Tampa Bay 7. This NFC Divisional playoff game on Fox will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. (13-7) Green Bay, and the Packers on the move.
You know, if it's a game, it should be fun. If it's fun, it should be like this. And those are two warriors going after each other. You know, Brett Favre knowing that he has to get rid of the ball before Warren Sapp gets there, and Sapp knowing that the guy that he's hunting today is Brett Favre. But they both have a great deal of respect for each other.
And the great players do indeed step up in the big games. Tackles and Dorsey Levens. Wow.
As I think Dorsey Levens gets stronger and stronger as he goes. Well, you can say that, you know, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneer tackling isn't as good, or you can say that Dorsey Levens is running harder.
I think you can say both.
And I think both would probably be true. Because in the first half, he wasn't able to do things like this. In fact, he hasn't been able to do things like this against Tampa Bay and the other two games they played. But now they're getting some good blocking in there, and some missed tackling, and some good running.
First and goal at the 7. Favre gives to Levens. Levens hammers down to about the 1.
You know, one thing you have to mention here, when you see this Buccaneer team not tackling like they are, there's one of their best tacklers right here, John Lynch, who's on the sideline. John Lynch is that, you know, strong safety who plays like a linebacker and makes a lot of plays. Now Melvin Johnson and Charles Mincy are the two safeties.
Lynch has a sprained knee. It's at the 2-yard line. Second down.
He had one there. He had Charles Mincy in the hole.
Yep.
You can get 8 men up, and you can get 9 men up, and you leave one. Dorsey Levens took him. The extra guy was Charles Mincy. Dorsey Levens said, "I'll just take him," and he ran right over him. Going to be in the left side, and you're going to see Mincy's going to come up right here, and you're going to see right there in the hole. He has him in the hole. and Dorsey Levens just runs right over him.
And bounced into the end zone.
Again, a lot of that drive was good running by Dorsey Levens, but it was also some very poor tackling by Tampa Bay.
A quick timeout called by Green Bay. Could they be thinking about going for 2? Possible, I guess.
This Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by the new Dodge and the new 4-door Ram Quad Cab pickup. The rules have changed. By Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. And by Snickers. Not going anywhere for a while? Grab a Snickers. Hungry? Why wait?
Back at Lambeau Field, 19-7, and the Packers are going to go for 2. They're 1 out of 2 in their 2-point attempts. Teams have gone for 2 against the Bucs 4 times. 4 times they've been successful. Nobody to run it.
4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, quarterback draw.
Had to be. They spread them out.
Yep, so you say there's no one in the backfield that can't run it. Well, there's only one guy in the backfield. That's a quarterback. So if he's going to run, he has to be the guy to run it. And lo and behold, he was.
And he's laughing. 21-7 Green Bay. For 2 points.
Yep, here's the old trick. You spread them out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers. No one back here. So if you are going to run the ball, there's only one guy that can run it. Watch the block Frank Winters gets here. Right there. Brett Favre makes a cutback. And watch this stuff. Well, that's the old Uncle Rube stuff. Uncle Rube always says when you go to hit the crossbar, always come up short.
Yeah.
Never get it all the way up to the crossbar. Because then they'll expect too much of you.
Well, so we don't expect them to slam dunk it. That's Anthony. The Buccaneers knocked out of bounds. Well out of the bounds. That's the 40 where the Bucs take over.
But just now, if he could get up there, he would be so proud of himself if he could touch that bar.
He'd do it every week.
I know it, but he got up there, because he really thinks he's a good athlete.
You got to jump.
Yeah, Robert Brooks is saying, "Hey, you got to jump." Look, he showed him how you have to do it.
Alan Shirt weighed him down.
No, but it's just like he said. He was talking about when he gets a birdie in golf, someone says, "Hey, you ain't that good." He says, "I know it."
Here's Dilfer. Throws it intended for Dunn. Incomplete.
Sometimes he says he does stuff in football. You know, I mean, just get the ball in there. Guys say, "You ain't that good." He said, "I know it." And then when he went to stuff it on the bar, he proved that he ain't that good. But I'll tell you one thing, he does have fun.
Yes, he does.
If everyone can learn one thing, I think, from Brett Favre is, again, that it's a game, and if it's a game, it should be fun, and doggone, he has fun.
There is some mischief in those eyes.
There's a heck of a whole lot of mischief.
Hape moves in motion. The handoff is to Warwick Dunn. Dunn to about a 9-yard gain right now for a look at the playoff history. Let's go down to James Brown for a McDonald's game break.
Pat and John, the 1979 NFC Divisional Playoffs. Buccaneers defense setting the tone early, abusing Eagles quarterback Ron Jaworski. On the offense, Ricky Bell had 2 touchdowns, 142 yards as the Buccaneers pick up their very first playoff win.
Different Buccaneer uniforms. Different Buccaneers. Dilfer, incomplete.
You know, there's that pass again that I don't understand, Pat. They block the tackle down. They have Warwick Dunn that blocked the end, Reggie White, and they throw a slant to that side.
Incomplete.
Now, watch how they do this. Here's Reggie White. Now, Warwick Dunn is going to have to block him, and then they're going to throw the ball to that side.
Reggie might not have slam dunked it either.
No. Reggie came up short on that deal.
They're going for it on 4th down. 4th and 3. Does doesn't look like quite that long, but they are indeed going for it. Copeland was the man in motion. Dilfer back to throw. Up the middle, incomplete. And Green Bay takes over, but there's a flag on the play. Intended for Moore, the tight end, but the penalty marker down. Might keep this drive alive.
And it's going to be against the Packers.
Pass interference, 41. Defense, first down.
Against Eugene Robinson.
You see, Copeland is going to come underneath, and you see Moore's going up to the top, and there's Robinson there, and he just gets there before the ball.
Just mistimed it. First down, Tampa Bay at the Green Bay 44. The handoff is to Dunn. He gets a yard, maybe. Santana Dotson, an ex-Buccaneer.
Yeah, we talked about that thing. Here's 2 times. This is the second time that Warwick Dunn had to block a big guy there. It was on Gilbert Brown, and there was on Reggie White.
Gilbert just sort of looked back like, what was that?
That was some gnat hit me in the knee.
11:58 left to play.
But Warwick Dunn is a complete player. He's an every down player. He's not one of those third down specialists.
That's one of the questions they had about him. Was he durable enough? Green Bay showing blitz. Dilfer changing the play. Clock running down. Got to hurry. Gets it away with a second to go. Dilfer. Incomplete. Intended for Moore again. Brings up a big 3rd and long situation.
Yeah, Dave Moore has really become his go-to guy in this game because we know that Green Bay has found some openings in that middle, and Dilfer on a few of his completions has found some things in that middle to his tight end Dave Moore.
This game's presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Packers and the NFL is prohibited. 3rd and long. And the handoff on the draw play is to Warwick Dunn. He gets about 8 yards before Darren Sharper brings him down.
And I think Tony Dungy's already decided to go for it on 4th down because when you run a draw on 3rd and long, what you're trying to do is create a 4th and shorter situation so you can complete a 4-yard pass for a first down. So I think when he ran that draw, he wasn't thinking in terms of one play. He was thinking in terms of 2 plays, 3rd and 4th.
And it's 4th and 4 as the crowd at Lambeau gets to its feet. And they start to roar. Blitz coming. Dilfer behind the intended target, Horace Copeland. And Green Bay takes over. 21-7, Green Bay leading. The All-Madden team, don't forget. That's coming up here on Fox, and there's got to be more to that play than what's diagrammed there.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have a quarterback in there, and not enough defensive players, not enough up.
Would anybody on the All-Madden team wearing dark glasses make it?
No, or have that look. That doesn't have a chance.
11 pounds away for about 5 over the Green Bay right side.
I think that's what Green Bay wants to do now is just pound away. That's when you can tell when it's cold weather, when you have to wear some other hats under your cheese head. Because in nice weather, your basic cheese head becomes your basic hat. And then in cold weather, then you need a couple layers of hats underneath your cheese head.
And if you have to make a quick escape, you wear a hat like that, not that one.
And you know, one of the other things they wear here that I got a pair of and I haven't figured out how to put on is mucklucks. Mucklucks are things you wear in your feet.
Skirmed out of what appeared to be a loss of about a yard. and picked up a first.
And I think that was really a turning point in this game, and it was what Mike Holmgren talked about at halftime, that the Green Bay Packers had to be able to run more. Now, whether the turning point was Dorsey Levens running, and now he has over 100 yards, or it was a Tampa Bay poor tackling, or the combination of both, I think those things were the turning point in this game in the second half.
And talking to Tony Dungy, he said, we have to tackle well. Levens has gotten stronger, which he does. This is Henderson, hit by Nickerson. He drags him a couple of yards.
Yeah, and the Green Bay Packers are winning all the battles now. I mean, you know, when the running back runs in there and gets hit and goes 2 or 3 more yards after he's hit, they're winning that battle. Now they're starting to win the battles in the offensive line. And, of course, the one guy on Tampa Bay that they really haven't calmed down yet is Warren Sapp. Brent Dilfer's had a tough day today.
He really has.
He's only completed 6 passes.
The one long one to Anthony that set up the touchdown. 2nd and 6. Levens is the deep back, and he gets the carry. 11 pounds for about 3. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman. Replay producer is Peter J. Macheska. Associate Director is Mike Roy. Broadcast associates are Fran Morrison and Charles McDonald. Technical producer is Bob Muller. Studio is produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. Senior producers Bill Brown. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill, both of whom are in attendance.
You know, most of the people that you talked about were in attendance today. Like you say, those are the 2 things that happen, intensity and that.
Pass to Freeman. From far. A strike.
3rd down, needed that for a 1st down to keep this clock going. And does Brett Favre throw a strike in there?
Does he ever? The 49ers await the winner of this contest at Lambeau.
The 49ers are waiting now. I told you I talked to Steve Mariucci, the 49er coach, at halftime, and they were going over yesterday's game film, and they're going to meet with their players. Their players are meeting today when this game's over.
And you'll be headed via bus for San Francisco for home.
Be en route, Highway 80.
11. Burrows underneath for maybe a yard. We're all headed for San Francisco by different means of transportation. The playoff picture: Tampa Bay advanced with that victory over Detroit. Looks like Green Bay is going to advance. Minnesota lost to San Francisco, meaning that one more time, no team that plays in a dome has ever made it.
Yeah, that's the thing. No team that's ever played in a dome, like you said, has never won the Super Bowl. And as you said, no team that plays in a dome has ever made it to a Super Bowl.
Levens again. Heads outside, tripped up by Derek Brooks.
You know, and
the Buccaneers, excuse me.
The other thing, you know, we talk about the urgency and the finality here. There are 12 teams that go into the playoffs. And of those 12 teams, only 1 team is going to win their last game. Yep. And 11 others have to live with it for the entire offseason until August. And that is tough. I mean, you know, getting there is big. Playing in these games is big and great. But I tell you, there is no losing that is tougher than losing a playoff game and that being your final game.
3rd and long. 3rd and 13. They're 5 out of 12 on 3rd down. Favre drops. Buccaneers blitz. And the pass is picked off by Donnie Abraham. That's his 2nd of the day interception.
Yeah, there's a guy that's really played well for the Buccaneers these last couple of weeks. He played well last week against Detroit. He's playing well today. You see the rush here again. Hardy Nickerson is just there where Brett Favre can't step up and throw and get everything on it to Robert Brooks. But Donnie Abraham had great coverage.
Pat Summerall with John Madden back at Lambeau Field, where the Packers lead the Bucs 21-7. Buccaneers have the ball at their own 20 after the interception by Abraham, his second of the day. Dilfer back to throw it. Outside to Dunn. Warwick Dunn gets the first down for Tampa Bay.
Fritz Shurmur continues to mix up these defenses. You know, he's playing that three-man line. He calls it his 3-3 dime. 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 6 defensive backs.
2 deep this time. As they blitz Dilfer. He just does get rid of it, but he does. And the pass is caught by Copeland, but he got out of bounds.
Yeah, again, that was Keith McKenzie coming from the backside, along with Leroy Butler. He had the whole thing coming from back there.
I haven't quite yet figured out when he wants to be called Leroy and when he wants to be Leroy.
I don't know. You know, he says he wants to be called Leroy, but then sometimes he calls himself Leroy.
Himself, yeah.
Remember when he said Brad Johnson when he was doing the Minnesota game? He says, tell Brad Johnson that Leroy says hello. I said, I thought you were Leroy. He said, well, to Brad Johnson, I'm Leroy.
They won't allow it. Here's Dilfer. Steps up in the pocket, brings it down, fires. Warwick Dunn gets into Green Bay territory. Dilfer did a good job scrambling away from the pressure.
Yeah, usually when Warwick Dunn comes out of the backfield, they have a safety on him. And Eugene Robinson has been doing a pretty good job. He did a real good job earlier in the game on Warwick Dunn. That time he was on there, and Dilfer just made a good throw in there to him.
Trent Dilfer hurrying things up now with 4:50 left. And Green Bay leading Tampa Bay by 21-7. First down. Quick slant. Goes to Rob Thomas, who stays on his feet. Anthony was waiting for a lateral, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not that point. We're still
No.
with 4:27 left. You're down 2 touchdowns. They're going to hurry up offense, but they have to think they need a touchdown, and they need an onside kick, and then another touchdown.
That's a lot of needs. Dilfer's incomplete, intended for Anthony.
You know, Rob Thomas has come up with some big plays for this Buccaneer team, and I was talking to him yesterday about his dad, Aaron Thomas.
Yep.
Played for the New York Giants. In fact, his dad came to the Giants a year after you left and took your number, didn't he?
Well, he wore the same number.
Well, no, but he was number 8. You were number 88.
Yes.
And 61 for the Giants.
Right.
And he said his dad came in 62, Aaron Thomas, and he was number 88
That
for the
is
Giants.
correct. That is correct. The only thing, he could move it a little bit faster than I could. Dilfer got a man. It's Rob Thomas. The ball goes out of bounds.
They feel confident in Rob Thomas, especially, you know, with Copeland and with Anthony. They kind of like to keep them outside as split receivers, and then when they need a 3rd or 4th wide receiver, when they need a slot guy, they like to put Rob Thomas and have him be their slot guy.
Amazing how much he looks like his father. Dilfer 9 out of 30, 1 interception, 174 yards.
His father was bigger than him, wasn't he?
Yes, taller. Third and 10. The protection starts to break, and Dilfer is going down by McKenzie. And McKenzie has put some pressure on.
The first guy there was Seth Joyner.
Yeah, he had an assist.
We talk about that 3-3 that they're in. Here's a 3-man line, and then now Joyner becomes the 4th guy, and he becomes a rush guy. And he was the first guy that gets here. And sometimes he rushes from the inside. That time he was outside, but took an inside rush. He was the first guy. See, he's the guy that made Trent Dilfer take the ball down.
And he couldn't get rid of it. So
McKenzie came in and finished them off.
4th down and 25. And the Packers rush just 3, and Dilfer's throwing it up for grabs into the end zone. All ball incomplete. I don't think anybody came down with it, and the Packers should take over. Horace Copeland down there, high C in the middle of that.
Gene Robinson's still down there in the end zone. He's talking with the fans down there. When I went to practice the other day, I'd never seen a player so fired up as Eugene Robinson was in practice.
He's been around a long time.
I know. Well, he's one of those guys who's been playing for 13 years, played for years at Seattle, and got a taste of winning a championship and a Super Bowl a year ago, and doesn't know how many years he's going to play, but he wants to taste it again.
The way he's playing, he can play for a long time. Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, I think, that's just the frustration. It's been that kind of day for Trent Dilfer. He wasn't able to get into any kind of passing groove at all. And if you say in what area the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to improve, I think it's that area. The passing game, getting receivers, getting open, catching the ball, hitting them, those things.
Dorsey Levin. For about 5.
Dorsey Levens this year has just become a machine.
He really has.
Who would have thought? They thought that he was kind of a backup guy and a receiver and those kinds of things.
Wasn't durable enough, maybe?
Well, they didn't know. And Mike Holmgren said, has Dorsey Levens really surprised you? And he said, yeah. He surprised me how durable he is.
This is a Tampa Bay timeout. Isn't Dorsey Levens going to be a free agent?
Yes, he is a free agent. Yes, he will be a free agent at the end of this season. That's something there. Like you had a puncture wound there.
Like you just had a vaccination. You used to have like when you were in grammar school.
Yeah, like you're running, and someone punctures you.
23 carries, 112 yards. And he is already, as he broke Jim Taylor's regular season game rushing record back against Dallas. Levin's total today is a new Packer playoff rushing record, which had been held by Edgar Bennett. So, yes.
Warwick Dunn there in his rookie year, offensive rookie of the year.
Outstanding. Levin.
Well, what Dorsey Levens is doing now, he's afraid to make one of those outside cuts because he doesn't want to go out of bounds to stop the clock. He wants to stay in bounds and make the Buccaneers use their timeouts, but not give them a free one by running out of bounds.
Next week we'll be in San Francisco and watch Steve Young dance.
Look at his eyes, how serious he is. Steve Young takes everything so seriously. He's even trying to have fun with the dance.
Look at Brent Jones laughing at what's going on behind me.
Oh, but did you see how sincere Steve Young was?
Yeah.
Look at, boy, I got to get this down.
Postseason history between those two is Green Bay 27, 49ers 17. That was a big upset. And last year, 35-14.
So they know about the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, Steve Mariucci, now the head coach of the 49ers, was an assistant here with these Packers, and he was Brett Favre's quarterback coach
for 4 years. Here's Levens again. And stop at midfield. That'll bring up 4th down, and the Packers will punt it away. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, has 1 timeout left. Warren Sapp, he's had a heck of a day.
You know what he said? He was saying the other day, he said, isn't this something? He said, you get to play a kid's game and get paid a king's ransom. He said, you can't beat that.
Yeah. New York Undercover is back. It's an all-new team taking on cases cops won't handle. In a world this dangerous, one mistake could get you killed. Catch the season premiere of New York Undercover Thursday at 8 Central on Fox. You may have to watch that. Don't want to make any mistakes.
Clock is running.
Craig Hentrick back. The punter, Riddell Anthony. 2:58 left to play, and here's Craig Hentrick. Anthony is getting away from it. And the Packers are going to down it. Travis Jervey was the first man down who batted it backwards. The architect, along with Mike Holmgren of the Packers' success story, the executive vice president and general manager Ron Wolf, an old buddy of yours.
Well, yeah, I was with Ron Wolf for 12 years with the Oakland Raiders, and he's one of the top people in this game. He's one of the top people that I've ever known. I mean, he's a brilliant guy, and he knows how to put a team together, and he knows talent, and of course getting this guy. I mean, Ron Wolf came here and got Brett Favre. That was a big move.
That's a pretty good milestone right there.
You know, when you take the difference in these games or in these teams, you know, Brett Favre is so big in that thing. I mean, he's the MVP of the league, of course, co-MVP this year, but 3 years in a row.
What a building block. Dilfer out of the end zone to Copeland.
You know, we looked at Travis Jervey the last time or the time before when he was double-teamed. Now you watch him here, and again, he made the Pro Bowl. Now, if you don't leave anyone on him, you see the difference? They were going for the block that time. So if you have two guys on him, he's not going to get down there. If you don't put anyone on him, he's one of the fastest guys on this team. He'll be the first guy down there.
Dilfer back. Three-man rush. Pass dropped by Copeland.
I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just been frustrated today. You know that they could have gotten a little running going, but they just couldn't get any passing going. I mean, they didn't have anything that was there. I mean, they hit their tight end Dave Moore a few times in the middle, but other than that, they haven't gotten anything that they've really been able to do today.
Well, you go back to all those statistics that we showed you at the beginning of the game. This is Warwick Dunn. He'll get the first down. And the one that the Buccaneers have never won a game when the temperature is below 40 degrees, and they still are in that same position. They took this guy out of the game just about. Mike Allstott.
Yeah, and they did that when they got ahead, and then they had a pass, and then they weren't able to do that.
Here's Dilfer. Incomplete.
Ooh,
Thomas, the intended receiver, Doug Evans, right with him.
Eugene Robinson is lucky that they didn't call a penalty on that. I don't know that he meant to hit him, but he got in there and hit Rob Thomas awfully late. I think he's talking there that he really didn't mean to. He just couldn't stop himself, but he did it.
You know, you get to a point when a team beats you 3 times in a year, or you get in that situation where you never won a game and the temperature is less than 40. Can we do it?
Yeah,
you get to get doubts in your head.
And the other thing is Green Bay has never in the history of the franchise ever lost a playoff game here.
Right. Copeland.
But I think what that does, I think that gives Tony Dungy something to build on. You know, to say, we aren't as good as the Green Bay Packers, but that's where we have to go.
Green Bay. You were talking about Ron Wolf a minute ago. That's Richie McKay, John McKay's son, the first coach of the Buccaneers, and he's done a heck of a job as their general manager building this team.
Yeah, building this team, bringing Tony Dungy in there, that group working together, and they're all young. I mean, it's a young organization and an organization that is on the right road.
Dilfer, deep for Rob Thomas. Incomplete. Intercepted by Mike Pryor.
Well, that's that 3-3 dime we talk about. 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 6 defensive backs. That's when Pryor's in there. Pryor's just sitting there as a safety waiting for it. And he got it, and all the Packers have to do now is run out the clock and start thinking about the San Francisco 49ers.
I was talking to Richie McKay before the game, and he said, I think we got a chance to win this game if it's an ugly game. But any game where Brett Favre's involved is not going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a fun game.
No, and Brett Favre is a factor. You know, I mean, those are the things. In fact, we talked about that in the pregame show, that you can have game plans and you can have schemes, and then he starts to run around and he breaks down all your plans and all your schemes because you can't practice against the things that he can do to you. Although the 49ers are going to start this afternoon trying.
He just kneels. The Bucs are out of timeouts. And that's about all that Brett Favre needs to do.
And this is big for Mike Holmgren.
Oh, yeah.
He's going back to San Francisco where he grew up, where he went to high school in San Francisco, where he was an assistant coach with the 49ers. And, that has to give you some chills to take your team back into your hometown and play a championship game. Knowing that if you win that, you get to go to your second Super Bowl in a row.
What a great guy he is, Mike Holmgren.
And he's a great coach.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows what it takes. He knows how to treat players. He knows how to, handle a football team. He knows how to coach a quarterback. All the difference that he's made in Brett Favre.
He and Steve Mariucci,
right,
who they'll see next week.
I know it. And they'll be paired against each other. And these fans are going to go crazy now as this game is over, because they know that this is the last time that they're going to see their team in person. This year, that they could have 2 more games, but both of them will be away. One in San Francisco, and if they win there, the Super Bowl, of course, in San Diego.
This season. Not this year.
No, that's right. This season.
21-7. The Packers still have not lost a playoff game here.
And I don't think any of these fans have left, Pat. I mean, they're enjoying this moment, knowing that this is it for this season, the last time they're going to see him in person, and they're going to enjoy it. They're going to sit in these seats, and they're going to love every moment of this.
The play of the game coming up is brought to you by Energizer. Dorsey Levens, another big day.
Especially another big second half.
Yeah.
The Packers kind of wore him down in the second half, and Dorsey Levens wore him down and started running around some tacklers and running through the rest of them.
And right now, let's quickly send you down with Ron Pitts.
All right, thank you very much, Pat. Coach, you didn't start off playing the kind of football I know you want to play here, but it ended up okay. You got the win. You're headed to the NFC Championship game.
That's very exciting, Ronnie. I couldn't be prouder of my team and my coaching staff. I'll tell you, in the first half, we were playing like we were at the playground, though. So, hey, give Tony Dungy credit and the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization. They remind me a little of us a couple years ago coming up, and they're a great football team. It was a good game today.
You're going to see an old friend next week, Steve Mariucci. Are you playing good enough right now to go out there and beat the 49ers?
Oh, you know what? That's what you play the games for. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy. But we're all looking forward to the game, and we're going to enjoy this one and roll up our sleeves and get to work and look forward to it.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you next week.
Ron.
Thank you very much. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, Ron, thank you. The final score here at Lambeau Field is Green Bay 21, Tampa Bay 7. Coming up on the NASDAQ postgame report, we'll have highlights and interviews from Green Bay. Also, our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second postseason stats. That's all next on the NASDAQ postgame report.